partner Pokemon as well, but he does have the Sludge Bomb Amoonguss.
That's
So
true.
it's going to be a little tricky for Patrick here, navigating both the Terra Fairy and Amoonguss, underspeeding it, either going for a Spore or damaging attacks. I don't think it's going to be... I don't think Behemoth Bash versus Heaviside will make too much of a difference here in this game, but it is a very tough game going forward.
I think, because I don't want to like reveal too much about the teams. Well, actually, Patrick was already on stream earlier, so we could just talk about
Yes,
it.
both players have been on
I think
stream.
the Rocky Helmet Ensign could be very interesting on Patrick's side, mainly because of the fact that, like, I believe it's Terra Bug. It's Terra Bug, so
Terra Bug.
yeah, Terra Bug Ensign. So believe me, I was talking to him about it before. I was looking at the team show, I'm like, Terra Bug? And he's like, yeah, it's fun. Landon told me to run it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, we just... But this should be a really interesting... I really think this next match should be interesting because whoever wins has to face that hyper-offensive team of the Logans in the finals. And I think Logan has a really interesting matchup into both of the teams, mainly because of having the Tornadoes for that Zamazenta team, allowing for like the team to move much faster, especially the Bolt, because usually the biggest weakness of Bolt is the fact of it's slower. But if it's able to move before the Zamazenta is able to do anything, then things could get really dicey. But it's also interesting on Patrick's side because the foul play on that Grimmsnarl and then the Terra Fairy on the Ice Rider. So things are going to get a little interesting,
With the speed.
tricky,
Yep.
especially the speeds. So I'm very excited for this matchup between Patrick because I think no matter what, we're gonna have a really interesting finals with very unique speed tiers. So this should be pretty fun.
Yep. I see both players are getting ready, getting comfortable right now. It's going to be, like I said it before, a very interesting matchup. I'm excited to see this one. Two CIRs on top cut here says a lot for that Mon.
Right. It's good to see Patrick Connors, I will say, back at our locals. He's been on kind of a hiatus, a little bit of a break since LAIC, where he went about 5-3, I believe. Barely missing out on that day too, but I'm so happy to see him back at the locals.
Yeah. I'm also excited. He's always a big joy to have here. Everything he's hard committed to CIR, so it's always interesting to see what he cooks up with. This time he's on.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. He's no longer. He's still on like that balanced CIR, but not his NIC winning team. As you can see with the Fire Water Grass core, like the Patrick signature here.
Let's talk a bit about Joven's team since it's up here on the screen. I believe this is the team that you used to win the Big Cup a couple weeks back.
Yep, absolutely. I believe it's still going strong, especially into this meta. Terra Fairy CIR is not scaring us here. Especially that Patrick is on Terra Poison, correct, actually?
I believe... I'm not sure. I gotta check back. I believe he's been against Terra Poison recently, mainly because of the uptick in CSR. But I think Poison's really good into the Draining Kiss variant, but I don't think it's too good into the Life Orb Psychic variant, because you actually could just one-shot CIR off the bat, and you really don't want those 50-50 reads, especially on your restricted Pokemon, especially when CSR is already such a hard matchup for Ice Rider in general. But now we see Patrick's team, so it's pretty interesting, mainly because of the fact that it's not hard balance, but it's not like hard offense either. It's like a weird in-between. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup, mainly because Patrick really has to get that Trick Room up, and there's no Will-O-Wisp on this Ensign. So he's not threatening a burn on this Zamazenta or the Chet Pow or the Dragonite, but I'm expecting that we are going to see that Incineroar come to this set.
I agree. Especially with the Rocky Helmet, it's going to be a good tool to just chip down the Zamazenta, as well as Fake Out to stop any Y guards under Trick Room, or any of Joven's supporting mons like Amoonguss from preventing Spores.
I think a possible lead we might see from Joven here is, well, you know the team better than I, but I'm game theorying here, is Zamazenta Dragonite. Am I wrong? Because
I actually disagree because
the Ogre Rock.
Because of the Ogre Rock.
That makes
Absolutely. I think into this team, the standard would probably be it's
Urge?
gonna be really hard for Joven here because the team definitely relies on getting the leads right. It's very lead heavy. He could be leading Shen Pao with either Urshi, D-Knight, or Zama here, and he has to call whether the Raging Ball is going to be on Patrick's lead up.
Or
And
the Ogre Rock.
if it's Ogre Rock, that's completely okay if he leads the Urshifu.
Sorry, not the Urge Food, but
Or even with the D-Knight,
Yeah,
because
D-Knight.
the extreme speed plus any other of the damage, like Ice Spin or Throw Chop, should pick up the knockout.
that's true. That's 100% true. This is going to be. I think this match is going to be really back and forth. I definitely think it's not like one-sided for either side, mainly just because of the team compositions. But as we are getting into the game here, we are about to see the leads from Patrick and Joven. And it is Raging Bolt Calyrex versus the Dragonite Urshifu.
Urshifu.
It's gonna be interesting. So mainly because of the currently both of Patrick's Pokemon are threatening a KO on Joven's Pokemon. With the Glacial Lance into the Dragonite and the Thunderclap into the Urshifu. And this is where the fun little mind games start coming in.
I do believe that with this lead, Patrick got it right, and Joven's going to be at the back foot here, as neither Mons can really handle this Raging Bolt by themselves and need the support off of Shen Pao here. As we're going to see, he's going for the hard swap to kind of have the Dragonite output more damage, as well as predict that Thunderclap is going to the Urshifu here.
I really think Patrick's gonna go for Thunderbolt though, possibly, or he could just just go for the Cloud.
Possibly. We were gonna have to see. So Joven's gonna make up the switch into Shen Pao here to boost our Dragonite's damage. This also will be boosting the Ice Rider's damage. So
Good Terra Fairy, that Ice Rider.
Yep, the
and we
Thunderclap
see
is
the
coming
Thunderclap
out.
actually come out for Patrick.
and he's actually gonna be going for the Outrage,
Outrage.
connecting
Ooh.
into the Raging Bolt, just getting the one-hit
One-hit
KO.
But this is still, I think,
Calling
kind of
Patrick's bluff that he will not be going for. Oh, he did go for the Glacial.
Glacial Lance. I still think this is
Taking out the Dragonite.
This is a really dicey position for Joven. Even if, let's say Patrick didn't go for the Glacial Lance there, I think mainly because of the fact that the Ice Rider is Terra Fairy, right?
It's Terra Poison.
Oh, is it Terra
Yeah.
Poison? Gotcha. I thought it was Fairy. My bad.
No, it's gonna be resisting the body presses off the Zamazenta here. But getting rid of the Raging Bolt, now Urshifu is a little
No
bit safe
Trick Room
here,
yet,
and
though.
no Trick Room. So Joven's gonna be having the speed advantage here, calling Patrick's bluff that he wouldn't be going for Trick Room. He's actually gonna leave the Zamazenta
the
and the Shen Pao,
Urshifu.
and Patrick's Scarf Urshifu is gonna be coming out trying to continue maintaining the speed order here.
This is a little awkward, mainly because we see a wide guard and a possible hard switch out, which makes sense because Pat could be going for the surging strikes into the Chen Pao here. But we got to remember, Patrick is operating with full information right now. He knows everything in Joven's side of the board because Joven led that Urshifu turn one.
Yeah.
So Patrick has the advantage here. Also with the Terra, because I'm not sure how Joven's going to break through this Terra Poison Ice Rider, especially with the Trick Room possibly going up here, and this Ice Rider being +1. So
And Joven's gonna be Terra Dragoning, being weak to the Glacial Lances here. We saw earlier that he locked into the body press going into, I believe, the Calyrex, which is Terra Poisoning now.
I believe he went for the wide guard actually, I thought.
We'll be seeing it here. I believe he went for body press. But we're also, I believe that the Urshifu will be going for a coaching angle here to
That's
get
very
that.
possible.
Oh, he
the
did go
wide
for a
guard.
wide guard on Joven's side, and then Patrick's Urshifu is going for the
we're on that
coaching into the
coaching.
Calyrex. I think he's going to be setting up Trick Room now, knowing that Joven no longer did not bring Amoonguss into this game here.
That
Trick
was a-
Room's going to go up.
That was a really good play by Patrick, mainly because of the fact that Chen Pao did not have Icicle Crash. If that Chen Pao, I think, had Icicle Crash, it could have been really dicey because of that flinch chance, possibly. But now Joven here is on the back foot because this Calyrex is now +2 with a defense boost. And I think Patrick will keep coaching, but we're probably going to switch out here. And I'm assuming we're going to see actually the Farigiraf. Interesting play here.
With the
And this-
Farigiraf coming out here, he's going to go for the wide guard. I believe Patrick will be locking into a high horsepower. No, Glacial
Oh.
Lance. Interesting.
Oh, but this Farigiraf has Twin Beam.
Yes, it does have Twin Beam. I believe that he brought it out to be proactive to try to take out the Urshifu here. And if Joven takes out his Urshifu to bring out the Shen Pao, just more damage to that +1 Calyrex to be coming out to the field.
Because then you can pretty much safely double the Urshifu with high horsepower and the Twin Beam on this next turn. Or you could just, because what's it called? That covers up the Chen Pao switches in as a defensive switch on the Twin Beam. And it'd be interesting because the speed tiers on the Farig and the Calyrex could be interesting here. Because only because of the way that
The attack order.
the attack
with
order
Twin
on the
Beam taken out.
Zamazenta, I mean,
Yep. We're gonna see Guard. We're gonna see Joven actually lock into Body Press into Farigiraf and a Surge Strike to Calyrex. Patrick's gonna go for the Twin Beam. Not sure if this actually. I believe this is actually gonna pick out the Urshifu.
Oh!
There's a 1 HP hidden sash. But does Patrick read this and go for a Glacial Lance? And he does. Getting that +2 from this. Getting the +2 from the Urshifu now. And the Zamazenta going down to 9 HP.
Imagine if Joven wide guarded there.
If he did wide guard, a Surging Strike into Calyrex would have helped a lot. But the Farigiraf being on the field, I'm not sure if Chen Pao will be able to knock out the Calyrex, being 2 turns of Trick Room and not being able to like, fake a Sucker Punch into the Calyrex.
That's fair, that's fair. But like, this would be interesting there, because then imagine if he wide guarded on that turn. Because if he wide guards, right, Patrick does not pick up any KOs. He could protect Zamazenta, sack the, wide guard again with Zamazenta, so that way that Calyrex cannot touch you. Sack the Urshifu, and then get in your Chen Pao, double protect. But I guess the wide guard
interaction will make the protect.
I guess maybe another wide guard then, because I don't think.
I think Joven's gonna go for the double protect here to try to stall out the turn to Trick Room and get back the speed.
I think a play we might see from Patrick here on his last turn of Trick Room after this, so that way he doesn't lose to a double protect, is probably a hard switch out of the Farigiraf into the Urshifu, because then it threatens that KO on the Chen Pao.
Possibly. I also believe that Patrick thinks that he's just in a comfortable position here. Urshifu, if Trick Room ends, will just win. I don't think he needs to go for the proactive play here.
No, that's fair. I forgot that Zamazenta's like 9 HP.
I believe that he's just going to go on the offensive here. Here comes a wide guard. Does Patrick go for the Glacial Lance predicting this? Or is he just going to go for the Twin Beam into the Zamazenta here to go for the knockout, which he does. And I believe maybe we're going to see a high horsepower coming from the Ice Rider to close up this game.
I definitely think so as well. I mean, Urshifu should be able to win it on its own.
There's
the high horsepower.
It is +2 and it's taking out the knockout.
Alright, going to game 2. Very curious to see if Joven will adjust here. Mainly because I don't think that lead was too great, and then the immediate KO on the Dragonite was like momentum shifting. Because I also thought it was really smart the way Patrick actually played that turn 1. Because if you think about it, right, let's say that Dragonite Terra Normal, right, to live the Glacial Lance. Get Urshifu in the back. Just click CC, and Joven can't really switch in much besides that Amoonguss on a close combat and that Fluttermane. But I don't think Fluttermane is coming to this match.
Yeah, I think it is too fast and no way to reverse Trick Room. I don't think he'll be leaving. I'm curious to see if Joven will be bringing Amoonguss this time and hiding it more in the back to kind of bait Patrick to going for a Trick Room. But it seems that he's really adamant on, as the players are selecting the teams here, there might be an angle where Joven leaving like complete offense in the previous game. He might be leading Dragonite again to kind of just go for calling Patrick's bluff that he will not be bringing Bolt and try to go for like another outrage play here or going for like some E-speeds, but in the early game trying to get the Farigiraf as well to get on the field, but we'll see in just a moment.
I think leading Zamazenta is really important in this matchup. What makes it tricky is that Terra Poison Ice Rider, like we mentioned before. But I think in order to help support the pieces, so that way that Raging Bolt, as we see Patrick lead again, doesn't just sweep through that team. Now, things get interesting here because that Bolt is not Terra Fairy. It's Terra Electric.
Terra Electric. It does, however, it puts Patrick in a heavy position here because this Dragonite really wants to be clicking Outrage. It's going to chunk, either take out the knockout on Bolt or chunk the Ice Rider here. Will Patrick burn Terra to mitigate the damage from a body press from Zamazenta onto the Ice Rider, or would he burn Terra on the Bolt as to not die from the Outrage? He does have double protect available here to kind of scout out what the Dragonite will be
I
logging
think the
into
play
here.
that we might see from Patrick here is I think a protect on this Bolt and then Terra Poison Tricker. Mainly because I don't think Joven here is threatening a KO on this Calyrex if it's Terra Poison, because Heavy Slam's not doing too much. Body Press will not do anything with the Terra Poisons. And then like we should be able to live the Outrage somewhat comfortably. And as we see the Terra Poison come out from the Ice Rider here,
And Joven locking into Stomping Tantrum, so he's going to be locked into a super effective attack into both these Mons here. Body Price
no
is going to go into
protect!
Bolt. No protect on either Mons, so Dragonite's going to be taking out the knockdown
here.
Raging Bolt. Does this CIR go for Glacial Lance like it did last game, or will it be sitting up Trick Room here?
I don't think so with
It
the
all comes down to
Zamazenta
this.
on the board.
He's
Oh,
actually
the
high
high
horsepower in the
horsepower.
Zamazenta. Joven did call his bluff and is now locked into Stomping, with Patrick being locked into that Terra Poison
This is
here.
a really good position for Joven here because this Dragonite, he
Res-
just wide guard,
Yep, he can just click Y guard and
stomping tantrum.
with the Dragon typing and Flying typing, it's gonna just completely just resist all of Urshifu's move. Gonna get to click Stomping Tantrum till it's chipped away.
Also, this Ice Rider cannot touch this Dragonite as long as this Zamazenta is on the board because of the wide guard and the Dragonite's flying typing. So this is gonna be really, really hard for Patrick to come back from. As you see the protect, I think he's going for a coaching fight here.
I believe so too, so you can take less damage from this Dragonite, but it does leave his Calyrex vulnerable to being the only attacking mon here. Here comes the coaching. I think he's gonna try to get enough attack so this Ice Rider can knock out the Zama with high horsepower through the wide guard. But this is Dragonite
Especially if
being able to just chip down the Ice Rider for
damn it. Oh, that Urshifu in the back is really scary. As we see Joven possibly considering to switch out, I really think he should stay in with the Zamazenta and force Patrick to have to remove it with high horsepower and then just keep clicking buttons with his Dragonite. Like, this is a weird position because Joven theoretically could go for a read here, right? But if Patrick hits that read right and his Glacial Lance is calling no wide guard, that moves the game so much forward for him. As we see the Urshifu switch out, no more coaching. Presumably the
the Farigiraf. I think Patrick's going to be trying to get that Trick Room up to be able to attack. Joven's going to call his bluff that he's going to be going for a high horsepower into the Zamazenta. He's going to get a Stomping
damage.
Tantrum here,
and
and he's going to set up the Trick Room.
This is still a really, really awkward position for Patrick here, mainly because, once again, that wide guard that we were talking about earlier, and I don't think Twin Beam plus horsepower would be able to remove the Zamazenta, but as we see here, Joven is planning to go for a really aggressive play here of hard switching out that Dragonite into the Amoonguss. So
Yep.
that way he can start threatening those spores. And we see
The Calyrex.
protect. Ooh.
Now, did the Farigiraf go into the Dragonite to try to chip it, or is it going to the Zamazenta here?
This is really dicey for Patrick now because with the spore for this Ice Rider, he has unlocked the potential for his Zamazenta to start clicking Body Press again into the Farigiraf slot. And nothing wants to be switching in on that Calyrex slot for the spore. And it's really tricky because, as we saw, Urshifu is in the back for Joven. So it does not care about those Calyrex defense boosts, and it's going to be really tricky for Patrick to be able to remove. As we see the Twin Beam come out from the Farigiraf again.
Yep, absolutely. This Terra Poison Calyrex, though, is going to be, despite being Spore, it's not going to take too much from the Sludge Bomb. And the Farigiraf barely taking out the Zamazenta here. It's going to get another turn to try to knock out the Zama. Body Press going to Farigiraf, doing more than 50%. Another one possibly taking it out. Comes down to this Amoonguss Sludge Bomb to see if he can either finish the job, maybe get a poison, or just put the Farigiraf to sleep as well.
Something interesting here is that this Farigiraf has safety goggles, so he can't just Rage Powder away the Twin Beam from this Farigiraf. So I think it's an interesting position from both sides right now. I think Joven should be able to pull out the win here. As we see the Hyper Voice come out from this Farigiraf.
And does Patrick's Ice Rider wake up here? It will just accelerate his entire board state here, just knocking out the Amoonguss, leaving just the Urshifu.
Oh,
But it's
and
actually
it's
going to
fast
take
asleep.
another turn of sleep here.
All right, we're going to see the Urshifu come in for this ice.
For the Zamazenta.
For the Zamazenta. And now I think Joven cleans up the game here. It's just a Sludge Bomb into the Farigiraf to pick it up and a Surging Strikes into the Calyrex. Urshifu does not want to switch in on the Sludge Bomb because it doesn't want to take that chip, right? And
But who knows, like Calyrex could wake up here and just go for a Glacial Lance, taking out the Mungus. I'm not sure if the Surging Strike will be picking out the knockout on the Calyrex here.
I mean, but that's fine though. There's a full-on Dragonite in the back that I don't see how Patrick is going to be able to remove unless this Ice Rider wakes up and starts doing some damage as we see the Sludge Bomb. No poison.
No poison.
And the
Calyrex
Calyrex
still
takes
asleep.
another turn of sleep. I believe that's 2 turns?
2 turns, yep.
As we see these
The
Surging Strikes.
Very close to the knockout. But just leaving with that sliver of red HP, I don't think Amoonguss will be able to knock out with a Sludge
And
Bomb.
the Twisted Dimensions return to normal. Now this is just Rage Powder Surging Strikes into the Calyrex slot. I don't know how... I don't think Patrick can come back for this one. We might see a game cancel here, to be completely honest with you, because I don't see how Patrick's going to be able to remove this Amoonguss. And that Farigiraf and that Calyrex are both in range of the Surging Strikes as we see the battle get canceled.
Joven was just completely off the offense this game 1 and game 2.
I really think it came down to that turn 1, because if Patrick goes for the Protect on Raging Bolt in the Trick Room on that Calyrex, I think Patrick kind of just takes the game from there, because I don't really see a way Joven can like easily come in.
I agree, but I definitely think this is a game of reads right now. Joven is trying to out-read Patrick to try to get a very forward board state here.
I'm very curious if we are going to see that Ogerpon Rock possibly coming to this game. Mainly because Joven has shown that he is willing to lead that Dragonite the last 2 games. And if Patrick makes that adjustment to Ogre Rock, he could just pick up the KO on that Dragonite. But like you were saying before, you can just body press and take the KO on that Ogre Rock with the E-Speed. But Patrick has that mind game of that Farigiraf in the back, which he's shown to have brought the last 2 games. So I'm very curious to see how both players will make an adjustment here to move the board states forward for both their sides.
Yep, and I believe both players have just finished locking in their teams, so we'll be seeing in just a second, like what they'll be bringing.
Exactly.
On this game 3. Will Joven be still going for the offense, or will Patrick switch it up his leads, calling out Joven's bluff?
That's very curious as we're waiting for the game to load here, and we see the match cards hit the board. It's time to see these game 3 leads. As we see Patrick lead with the Ogerpon and the Calyrex, like I was saying before, and the Chien-Pao and Dragonite. Ooh, this is really, really interesting board state, because Patrick once again could go for that play of the Protect on that Ogerpon and the attack with the Calyrex, or possibly that Trick Room. I really think if Patrick gets the Trick Room up here, especially into this lead, that will move the game forward so much and make it hard for him to come back here, as we see a possible defensive switch from Joven into the Zamazenta on the Dragonite slot.
Dragonite's going to be switching out here, trying to predict that an Ivy Cudgel is going to be going into it to tank it, and a Throat Chop is going to go out of the Chien-Pao to try to chip down the Calyrex. We're not going to see any Terra from Patrick's side, and a Spiky Shield calling that to break the sash on the Chien-Pao. Actually, a double protect here, scouting out what Joven wants to do.
I'm a little surprised by this play, because I really think that this does not move the board state too much forward, especially for Patrick, mainly because now Joven has a really safe play of just throat chopping and body pressing that Ogerpon instead of the Calyrex. I think you should remove the Ogerpon here, mainly because it's threatening that Dragonite mode in the back so much more, and doesn't allow you to go for the E-Speed spam. It also punishes if Patrick hard switches in something on that slot, and you don't have to worry about the Terra Poison on the Ice Rider, because I wouldn't be surprised to see a play from Patrick here of Terra Poison on the Ice Rider, Trick Room, and just attacking with the Ogerpon to try and break a sash, calling a double up into the Ice Rider.
Yep, we're going to see Patrick burn the Terra Poison onto the Calyrex here, trying not to take any body presses from the Zamazenta. I don't believe that he's going to be clicking follow me to sack the Ogerpon.
I think he's going for damage here, as we see
here comes the
Wide Guard
come out from the Zamazenta, predicting a Glacial Lance. Here comes the Throat Chop actually into the Ogerpon. Joven reading this correctly, and Ivy Cudgel going into the Chien-Pao. This might be Patrick trying to take out the Shenpao before setting up Trick Room here to minimize the damage of Dragonite in the back.
I'm not sure if I agreed with this. Oh! Okay, we're just clicking Glacial Lance here.
Good read on Joven, going for the Y guard, stopping that offensive play completely and breaking the Sturdy off of the Ogre-Pon
But
here.
now Joven has to
Terra
be so
Poison
careful
still
here.
burned, and Shenpao down to Sash. Comes
Joven-
down to...
Joven has to be careful here, though, because of the spiky shield on that Ogre-Pon. So, once again, a really interesting board state. I'm really surprised by some of the plays from these players, mainly on that turn. I'm surprised not to see the body press and the ice spinner into the Zamazenta to just remove it. But I guess Patrick was calling that double up into Ice Rider as he
An
gets
Ice
the
Spinner
call right
body
again.
press
Oh.
doing more than 50% to this Ice Rider.
And just
Glacial
a
Lance
Glacial
taking out the
Lance.
Shenpao here, going for +1. No Trick Room set up though.
I think this is a really bad position for Patrick, I think. Mainly because I think this Zamazenta should outspeed this Ogre-Pon Rock, mainly because of how fast Zamazentas have been going recently in the format in order to outspeed Ogre-Pons. And as we see the Dragonite come out here, I really think this is a safe body press plus Stomping Tantrum into the Calyrex. Body press into the Ogre-Pon, Stomping Tantrum into the Calyrex. This is going to be really, really hard for Patrick to come back from, mainly because of the damage into the Ice Rider on that previous turn. So this is going to be a really interesting turn. I think Joven might be able to pull this out. I definitely think the favor is of Joven here.
Yep, Joven's in a really good board state, having a Choice Band Mon super effective move onto this Terra Poison. We're going to see Protect off come out of Patrick here, and the Ogre-Pon the Zamazenta being faster than the Ogre-Pon, taking the knockout, and this Calyrex is going to get to scout out what this Dragonite's going to be locking into.
It should be that Stomping Tantrum, I assume. No reason to gamble on Outrage Confusions or anything in the late game. Just go for Stomping Tantrum. It hits basically the rest of Patrick's board super effectively. Now we see the Raging Bolt come out, and I still feel like this is a really hard position for Patrick to come back from, mainly because of that damage that Patrick was able to get back, and Joven still having Terra. He can just Terra normal this Dragonite, live a Draco Meteor, and just go for the Stomping. But we see Joven's considering the double up into the Raging Bolt, possibly to just remove it, calling a passive play for Patrick possibly.
I believe this is a little too aggressive because the Calyrex did just burn its Protect here. Raging Bolt not really being able to take out the knockout on either of these Pokemon without sacrificing the Calyrex. I believe Joven is predicting that Patrick is going to try to go for a double Protect here to stall out some turns to just do some damage into Zamazenta or Dragonite to possibly put in Thunderclap range. But Joven's going to be doubling the Raging Bolt here, trying to close out the game. He does read correctly the double Protect here, and this Stomping Tantrum plus Body Press should knock out the Raging Bolt, leaving Dragonite, Zamazenta, and Amoonguss in the back 1v1ing this Calyrex, completely pinning all its options in speed.
Game. I don't see how Patrick can come back from this. It's like I don't see a Mon in his team sheet that would be able to bring back the game. And we see the Urshifu come out. It cannot touch this Dragonite. This Dragonite, I think, is threatening the KO on this Ice Rider based on the damage we saw the Banded Stomping Tantrum do to the Calyrex at the +1. And we see the battle is canceled, and Joven is moving on to the finals to fight Logan Martinez.
Yep, congratulations to Joven heading on to the finals. It was a very tough game. A lot of reads, as we can see.
A lot of
just
back and forth.
Completely pushing Patrick's board state, putting him to a wall, forcing all his options, and just maintaining both the high and low speed here. I think he played that really well.
That was a really good game. Nice back and forth. So now that we know our two finals opponents, I think this matchup is going to be very, very interesting because Zamazenta usually always has a good matchup into Terapagos. This is Specs Terapagos. This isn't silly old Calm Mind substitute shenanigans with a really slow-paced team where you only have the Flutter Mane to really manage this ferocious dog. Now we have Tornadus, Urshifu, and I really think that Urshifu is going to come in handy with that safety goggles because you can't just redirect the Urshifu, the Surging Strikes or the Close Combats into the Zamazenta. And I really think Torn and that Bolt are going to be crucial there. But I think, Joven is putting on a lot of pressure in that matchup with the Shenpao and the